Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, dear viewers. Welcome to the 9th series of the International and Domestic Virtual Colloquium, which is also known by the name COMAT 2022, organized by the International Languages Teachers Training Institute, better known as IPGKBA, with the theme going global, internationalizing education. I am Muhammad Amal Arifin Samsudin, your moderator, who is also a French lecturer from the International Languages Teachers Training Institute. I will be hosting this interesting session today. We hope all of you will stay tuned until the end of this session because we have a line of notable speakers in today's forum entitled Mettons les points sur les i, putting the dots on the I, sharing of best practices. Before we begin, allow me to lay out a few housekeeping matters. Today's session is being recorded to be available for viewing via EduWeb TV of the KPM. Firstly, every participant who joins this webinar will be given a certificate. Therefore, do not forget to register yourself now using the registration link provided displayed on the screen. Secondly, if you have any questions for the presenters, kindly use the chat feature in this live StreamYard webinar, and the questions will be answered at the end of the session. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, teaching a foreign language, especially in an isolated context where the language is not commonly used, is a painstaking endeavor. IPGKBA, via this mini forum, is bringing together two panels who possess vast expertise in this topic entitled Mettons les points sur les i, putting the dots on the I, sharing of best practices. With great pleasure, let me begin with a brief introduction of the panelists. Let's begin with Nur Ahmadillah Kasim. Nur Ahmadillah Kasim is a French teacher currently teaching in a boarding school named Sekolah Menengah Sains Setu, situated on the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, in Terengganu. She received her Bachelor of Arts teaching of French as a foreign language from Université de Franche-Comté Besançon, France, and her Bachelor of Education from IPG campus Bahasa Antarabangsa. She started her career as a French teacher in 2012. She has done an action research where the interest lies on the areas of teaching of French language. Her secondary interest is in the usage of social medias like Instagram, TikTok, etc., as one of teaching mediums for the generation Z and Alpha, which was provided and proved recently to be quite successful. She also shows interest in the usage of Canva application to enhance students' creativity in their French language learning. Next, we have Mr. Amin Zainuddin. He is a French teacher at Sekolah Menengah Sains Tuanku Aisyah Rohani Seremban. He holds a master's degree in didactic of language, specializing in French as a foreign language, and second from Université de Grenoble-Alpes, and a degree in Science of Language Information and Communication, specializing in teaching French as a foreign language from Université de Franche-Comté. He is also the animator for IF Prof Malaysia. So, without further ado, let's get on to today's topic of the forum entitled Mettons sur le point sur le i, putting the dots on the I, sharing of best practices. I was told that our panelists have prepared a comprehensive PowerPoints, okay, to talk about our topic today. So let's hear from our first panelist, Madam Nur Armadila. To you.
Thank you, Arifin. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. How are you? So, thank you so much to the International Language Teachers Training Institute for having me as one of the presenters today. I'm so honored to be here. So, hello everyone. Greetings from Malaysia. My name is Nur Armadila Kasim, also known as Lilo by most. I'm a French language teacher in a boarding school in Terengganu, which is located in the east coast side of Malaysia, like Arifin has introduced just now. So I've been teaching French as a foreign language for 10 years now. That being said, I've been facing quite a number of issues in language learning. I know 10 years is not a long period of time for some of us, but let me just share my screen first. Okay, thank you. Sorry. All right. Today, I'll be focusing on teachers' preparedness in foreign language teaching. Well, our theme for today's presentation would be mettre le point sur le i, which means to put the dot on the I, which also translates to make things clear. First, I will be talking about common issues in teaching a foreign language, how to overcome the issues. Then I will be sharing with you issues I found along my 10 years of teaching and how I overcame the issues occurred. So let's move on to the next slide. First, I would like to ask us a question, because most of us are teachers and lecturers. What is our preferred teaching method when it comes to languages? What can we do to make lessons more engaging and productive for our students? Let's face it, being a language teacher is highly rewarding. Not only do you get to travel and further your passion for the language and its culture, but as a language teacher, you can also give these special gifts to your students. You might say that being any kind of teacher has similar benefits. However, there's something especially remarkable about imparting language. In doing so, you open up perspectives and broaden horizons, so your students can travel the world, explore different cultures, and open dialogues with people from completely different backgrounds. So for your students, it can turn into a lifelong passion, a career, etc., even relationships. All right. So, what are the fundamental pillars of language teaching? How can you improve your teaching so your students develop their language skills better? These are the questions that would lead us to our main topic for today, which is teachers' preparedness in foreign language teaching. So, we arrive at the big question, the big how. Based on my findings and according to my experience, these are the four ways to help us prepare ourselves in foreign language teaching. So, first off, our lecturers during our university years couldn't stress harder about learning about different approaches, methodologies, and techniques. Okay, I'm just gonna say hi to my lecturers here. Thank you for your supports. And so, learning about different approaches, methodologies, and techniques. Why? Because one size doesn't fit all. Do you tend to teach French by focusing on grammar and vocabulary acquisition? Do you place an emphasis on spoken communication? Or do you provide task based learning exercises? Like I said just now, one size doesn't fit all. And over the years, our understanding of language education has evolved. Being a teacher is a continual learning journey, right? So there are always new things to discover and put into practice in classroom situations. So next on my list is going beyond textbooks and embrace modern media. So today, this is actually my main point. Almost anyone learning a language today spends a significant amount of their time looking at screens, especially the screens of their smartphones, like my students, and using apps. Making use of this and other technology to aid language teaching means your student can use medias they're familiar with and increase their immersion in the language in different contexts. Students are so familiar with Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it. This can take many forms. It could mean posting, sharing, encouraging conversation in the language on social media platforms. Sorry. It could also mean using tools like quiz, competition apps to gamify learning and further motivate your students. There are a lot of online language games out there. I personally went quite a number of times for quizzes. Sometimes I didn't have to really come up with quizzes on my own, for in quizzes, a lot of other people share theirs. Okay. So the next thing I would like to talk about is TikTok. Now, this is interesting. I used to be very skeptical when it comes to TikTok. For at the beginning of the TikTok era, it was full of, for me, silly dance moves. I'm so sorry. And again, for me, there were barely useful information on it. Yet, as time goes by, I could see how affected were my students by contents on TikTok. So I decided to affect them as well the French way. It all started when the whole world was affected by COVID 19. We had to shut down schools and students had online classes. Let me tell you, it was tough. They were not fully committed. Some had internet connection problems because a lot of my students are from the rural area. Internet is a luxury where we're from because in the school itself, it is hard to get decent internet connection. Those who have been to my school would know the Delft juries, etc. And sometimes not even decent phone coverage. Our teachers had to go to the parking lot to get better reception for online classes. I really had to enlighten you people about this because in Malaysia, people are expecting way more from a boarding school. The expectation are over the rooftop, while other boarding schools are already using iPads, like Mr. Amin's school, for example. My school is still struggling with bad internet connection. So imagine how the online classes went. Internet connection problems are not helping at all for foreign language learning actually. Other students who had great internet coverage at home had lack of interest. What are they interested in? Let me see. Social medias. Those who didn't attend my class and said that they had bad reception at home surprisingly liked my post on Instagram. That was the turning point for me. If the students don't come to me, then I'll just go to them. So I created my very own TikTok account and started posting contents related to French language learning. To my surprise, my students downloaded the videos to study for the exams during the phase of online learning when we had our lockdown. Also, to my surprise, they even got better marks than they used to. The power of social media, you guys. Other than TikTok, I also created an official Instagram account, which is still running now. Not like my TikTok account. It's been a while since I used it, because we are now in the phase of face-to-face classes. So I created the official Instagram account to post about my teaching content. It is um, our official Instagram for French learning for my school, which is more accessible to my students outside of the official teaching hours. They might not have internet connection at a certain point of the day, but when they do, they could at least go check the contents I made on our Instagram. I posted quizzes on Instagram stories, and I saw my students responded. The very same students who didn't bother to come to my online classes. They studied using the post on my feed and then responded to the quizzes on my stories. Miracles do happen, people. All these are to say that all it takes is for us to make our efforts to learn something new and to look outside of the box. I was once and still am a newbie when it comes to social medias and technology related methods. I'm not really good at any technology related methods or social medias before. What I did was I joined every webinar I could during the lockdown and learned so many things from them. I'm not an internet savvy, but now I'm one of those people who couldn't let my Canva apps sit still for more than 1 hour. I believe that many of us are already so familiar with Canva. We can do wonders on the apps. But then, what happens when we started to have face to face classes again? As I told you earlier, our school's internet connection doesn't help much. Then we reach to our next point, which is finding a variety of ways for students to immerse themselves in the language. Alors, okay, we can all agree that immersion in the target language is essential for language learning. However, this doesn't have to mean a conversation with a native speaker. While opportunities to have those conversations should be available to students as on a regular basis as possible, why not encourage your students to immerse themselves in other ways that match their interest? While literature can work for some, others prefer music, singing, and listening to lyrics, and others may be films and box sets, and some may prefer to learn vocabulary while cooking. Help your students use their hobbies to maximize their exposure to the language outside the classroom. In our school, thank God we have International Languages Club. What we cannot do during the 60 minutes of teaching and learning session, we do it during the club meetings. We can cook, we can sing, we can watch movies, etc. I don't know about other schools, but in my school, we have International Languages Club. So other than that, with my students, we did postcards exchange activities. We focused on a theme, for example, daily activities or family. Students would write postcards, and I would check their grammar, sentence structures, and whatnot. And then we will pick a school or more to collaborate with them. The students from that other school who would receive our postcard would write back to us in French. What's interesting about this activity is that the students made their own postcard from a scratch. I think that's beautiful. Moving on to our next point, creating a safe and positive learning environment. Now, what does that mean? Having a confidence to make mistakes and the opportunity to discuss and learn from them is absolutely key to language learning. How you structure your lessons and how you provide feedbacks has an enormous impact on your students' sense of security. And whatever your preferred methods are, if your students are to improve, they need a space that's free from judgment and safe enough to make any mistakes, knowing they'll be seen only as opportunity to improve. Moving on to the next slide. Okay. So these are the examples of postcards we've been doing all these years. Here I'm sharing with you the postcard made by my students to be sent to our correspondents, other boarding schools all around Malaysia. Actually, I talked to the teachers first if they are interested in exchanging postcards. So we're still doing this actually. I'm still so proud of what they created in the postcards. They talk about almost everything they want, their families, their hobbies, their interests, and they even promoted their social media accounts. Typical. Next. So, on this slide, you'll see our official Instagram account in which I'm posting learning contents for the students. There are vocabs, grammar related contents, conversations, essays, videos created by my kids in school, etc. It's arrobas @je sais.fr. It happens that my how do you say, my school is also called SAIS, SAIS, and it happens to mean to know in French. SAIS means to know. So je sais means I know. .fr. Okay. So I'd like to share with you my favorite part of Instagram, which is the IG stories, where I can create quizzes based on the notes I posted on our IG feed. So here's an example. Sorry. Okay. I posted long ago about la météo, which means the weather. Here's an example of one of the questions I asked on the IG story regarding that particular topic. All right. So the answer is il fait chaud. So I know most of us have IG, so this is very familiar with you guys, but I just feel the need to share, you know. Next, may I have the video, please? I was supposed to have a video of how it would look like when somebody answered the question correctly. So as you can see, when you got the answer right, all the confettis are flying out. I just love it about this IG story thing. It's so festive for me. Thank you so much. So so this is how it looks. It looks like when somebody answered the question correctly. And for your information, I can even view who answered the quiz and who got the wrong answer, etc. Cool, right? So these are the names of the IG accounts that have been answering my questions. Actually, I made the quiz 5 minutes before somebody responded. I looked at it again 5 minutes after I posted, and these are the people who had been answering the quizzes. And to my surprise, there are students from other schools, the alumni of my school, my former students, my former French students, which are um, which are still interested in learning French. So I think this Instagram account is a very good platform for me to share not only with my current students but also with my former students and other students from other schools. So I guess that's all from me. Again, thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to share my view with the world. Again, thank you. Merci beaucoup. Terima kasih. That's all from me. Thank you. Back to you, Arifin.
Okay, thank you, Lilo, for the great sharing. I would say, okay, there was a lot of takeaways that I can mention here. One that attracted me the most is going beyond textbook. Okay, do not limit ourselves with the textbook. And I was interested also by how you have conducted your class, especially during the MCO, whereby students are not in front of us. Okay, you prepared activities that that fits their needs. Okay, gamification, 21st century learning, and lastly, what I love the most is that providing safe environment for the students to to voice out their opinion, to talk. That is, for me, it's very important in learning a foreign language, because we will be afraid to voice ourselves, okay, to voice up when we know that other people are judging us. So that is very, very true, and I I agree with you 100%. So thanks, Lilo, for the sharing. So I think we can smoothly pass to our second speaker, Mr. Amin, if you are ready. So how are you doing, Mr. Amin?
I'm doing very good, Monsieur Arifin. Bonjour, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va très bien. Okay, we both are
Alors,
French teachers, so we speak French together.
yeah.
So I guess you are ready to start with your presentation, right?
Okay, exactly. I'm
Okay, I
gonna
will leave
share
the
with
floor
you
to
all
you. Yeah.
my slideshow. Okay then. Okay, assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Okay, my name is Amin. Okay, so I'm gonna continue what Madam Armadilla has said just now. So we're gonna share the same title of presentation, which is mettre les points sur les i, donc putting the dots on the I. So my name is Amin Bizanuddin, and currently I'm teaching in Sekolah Menengah Sains Tuanku Aisyah Rohani, Jalan Tunku Krusha Seremban, formerly known as Sekolah Menengah Sains Perempuan Seremban. And the building itself was a building of College Tunku Krusha, has moved to Bandar Estate, so we are replacing the building, the old building. So let's start. So first, and before I forget, I would like to thank to IPG KBA, my alma mater, Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Bahasa Antarabangsa, for this opportunity, okay, to share with all of you. Even if you are not a French teacher, you are just a teacher, but I'm very glad to share with you all my practices. Okay, so welcome to everyone to Colloquium Maya Antarabangsa dan Domestik, or known as COMAT 2022. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you all, same like Madam Armadilla has shared with you just now, issues in teaching French. About I'm gonna how to say talk about the school, like the elements, like school, students, approaches, activities, and voila, conclusion. So let's start with my background. Okay, just a little bit of it. Okay, so my name is Amin. So I was studying in Besançon for my degree, and grown up for my master. And about my passions, so instead of firstly, my passion is, of course, French language, because I've learned this language since I was 13 years old in a boarding school as well. Secondly, I love to play basketball. So before this, I was a player. Now I'm teaching. I'm a teacher in charge of the sport. And thirdly, I love to sing. I think Madame Armadilla, so she loves to sing. Same goes to me. So I learned a lot of French vocabularies, French articulation, French pronunciation through songs. Okay, so it helps me a lot to improve my language acquisition. So the picture that I've shared with you all is really it was in June 2022. Okay, during like a L'Étape Malaysia, Le Tour de France. Actually, it was a bicycle racing tournament. So I was invited from a French embassy as a performer over there. So it was a very for me. I think all the teachers have like are facing now. So let's for my case, why I stated how to start a French class in a new school, because currently I'm teaching. I start to teach in this school since August 2021. Because before this I was in Kuala Dato Abdul Razak. So the transition from all boys boarding school and now I'm teaching in all girls boarding school actually is a huge transition, because I have to replace a German teacher which is currently who is currently a lecturer in IPG KBA. So I have to start like a new environment, a new foreign language in this school. And secondly, by starting a French class in this school, so I have to motivate the students. So actually, I have picked some students like before this, there were Korean students, Arabic students, Mandarin students. So they have to change their foreign language class from formal foreign language to French. So actually, it is a very big step that I've taken in order to motivate them to start a new foreign language. So I'm not saying that my practices are the best in the world or in Malaysia, but I'm just sharing what I've been done with them. Actually, yeah. So let's start. How? Okay, kaifa. Okay, comment, v, bagaimana. So how I'm gonna not solving, but how I'm gonna improving the situation. Okay, so like firstly, I would like to how to say to I'm not like an experienced, because it has been like I think only 6 years of teaching French in Malaysia, but there are no miracles in this world. Like even in teaching, you cannot say like, oh, if you apply this methodology, this theory, you're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be an awesome teacher. Your student will like you. Actually, it's very very subjective. Okay, always remember that there are no miracles in this world. The school itself. So why I've stated like the first element is the school, because actually this is the institute where we work, and actually we need the school in order to teach, right? So once we are at the school, we have to get to know the school environment. So it is very very important. Just like, oh, I'm just graduated from France, so I want to do what I want to do. No, it's not like that. We have to tone down our ego and try to adapt yourself. You yourself, you have to adapt to the school environment. Okay, so always like get to know the administration, the facilities, like Madam Armadilla has said about the iPad. So before this, I was in Sedar. In Sedar, every student has their own iPad. So we have to, we have to optimize the utilization of iPad in class, so that it will be, it will be, we're gonna optimize the usage of technology in the school. So and also the cliques. Okay, so although we are only the French teacher in the school, we have to collaborate. We have to cooperate with the colleagues, because we can't work alone. We need the colleagues to support us, to facilitate the events. Like it's not easy, but we have to. So I'm saying that the school is very important. And secondly, of course, the students. Okay, so actually we need the students. Okay, because why? Because we are teachers. So of course we need students. So always get to know the students. So basically, for the first class, I'm always giving them like a survey of it, whatever kind of it could be a Google form. If it during like MCO is an online class, of course I'm gonna give them like a Google form, or even like a survey kind of paper, so we know, okay, their expectations, okay, their capacities, and also their capacity. And also, we as a team, we're not robots. So please bear in your mind about things. So for this one, I would like to like recall my studies in IPGKB about like humanistic learning theory from Carl Rogers. So about we have to we have to communicate with the students basically before I start my class. So I always ask the students, how are you doing today? Okay, so some like basic questions. So you feel okay like during sports event where we feel might be tired. So we have to understand their situation. We can't force them to learn a foreign language. Okay, and then this is like the photo that I've taken like during Google Classroom. So always check on the list. So if the students are all registered. So now currently since I'm not sure with you my students now, but I would say like now I'm teaching Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3 students. So basically we have to at least know their names. So everyone, once we get to know them, so they will be comfortable in class. So once they are comfortable in class, so if we want to like organize an event, we want to like conduct a project, so it will be easier for them since we know them and they will feel comfortable in our class. Okay, and then thirdly about the approaches. So I think auditors, I think you know better than me about the approaches and methodologies. I think there's a lot now. So like I said just now, there's no ideal approach or whatever, but we always have to try and error. Okay, there's no miracle, there are no miracles in this world. So always try and error. It could be like, if I try this one, doesn't work. So try to use another method, another approach, another methodology to to communicate, to conduct the class, or to EDPC. I think there are two different environments, two different approaches for sure. So we have to adapt ourselves. Okay, we have to be flexible, and also we have to be versatile as well. So we have to we can't like say using this task-based learning is the best in the world. It could be the best, but it could be the best for your school, but not in my school. So we have to try and error, and then fourthly is try to fulfill our best to fulfill their needs. Like for example, like Madam Armadillah has mentioned about the usage of social media in in teaching. For me, it's such a brilliant idea, since I think like for my school as well, I have my official Instagram account. Like it is important for me to share, like for example, during MCO, like the programs from the MC, the events. So they have to get connected to us. Okay, media. And then for the time being, I'm using this module like just now. Like we have a textbook for sure. So inside the modules, what I'm sharing is like the activities, like the supplement, like the activities from the topic of the textbook. So they have like additional activities side in order to enhance, to practice, okay, to make sure they understand what I'm trying to teach in class. So try and error everything. And then like activities, I think during MCO there wasn't easy for everybody, including the teachers, right? So I'm trying my best to make sure that my students, it's not a burden for them for French language, because they only have like online classes. They only had online classes for bahasa Melayu, bahasa Inggris, etc. Like themselves. And I'm not trying to make like a lecture for an hour. No, I'm not trying to. I love to do like like a platform, an online platform where they can like post something, but the post should be in French, so at least they practice the language. So for example, like I'm sharing with you all the picture of Padlet. So I think most of you know this is like where they can post everything. For example, this one, I think, so the topic was adorer, aimer, ne pas aimer, détester. So they will like the things that they like, things they don't like, things that they adore, and things they hate. So they try to to share with all the students about like their interests. So somehow we have to let the students express themselves. Okay, don't try to be like don't try to limit the students. Okay, let them express, let them be expressed, let them be what they want to be, but always have a limit, but try to not to limit like too much limit. So by doing that, they can like they're not be they feel confident, okay, to post, okay, to share with their friends. And secondly, like Madam Armadilla, okay, I mentioned a lot of times Madam Armadilla, she has said about judgment. Like we know that in Malaysia, French is not French is the foreign language in Malaysia. So we can consume that. I think like even us, the teachers, we are not perfect. Yeah, we are not native. So always like try to improve by how say by say by saying bravo, félicitations. So they feel like, oh my god, I'm doing my best. So the teachers appreciate their efforts. So always remember that. And okay, about the collaboration, like the collaboration with the embassy, like Instagram Jom Français, always how we say with other schools who offer French language. So just now, like exchange postcards. Okay, before this, I've been doing this. Okay, and also the integration of ICT or TIS in French, we call it as Technologie de l'information et de la communication pour l'éducation. So we try to implement everything that we have nowadays. I'm not ICT experts, but at least we try to to apply something very simple to the students. Okay, something simple but practical. So now I'm gonna share with you all the the online platforms to learn French. So during MCO, okay, I've been using learning apps. So by using this online platform, like online learning platform, so you can have a lot of activities that are ready-made activities for French, or even you can even look for Delft activities. So I think it is 100% free, and I think this one can facilitate our like our job. Yeah, because I think all of us know that we are all busy, isn't it? So we have to be smart. Okay, try to not to waste time by doing something like very unnecessary things, but try to be smart by looking at this. I'm not sure that this is the best, but we can try with learning apps to to help us, the teachers, okay, to prepare activities in class, because we can print the activities and we can use it in class, because now in and then currently I'm working on carte postale sonore. Actually, this is the project that I've been conducted when I was in France during my master. So actually, this one is a postcard, but with like voice postcards where we have to prepare first the text, and after that we have to say it. So for me, this kind of activity, we're gonna work on four fundamental skills, which are listening, writing, speaking, and also comprehension writing. So by doing this activity, so we have to write a postcard, and then I'm gonna correct it, and then the students will post it on SoundCloud, like voice, something like that. So we're gonna share it on Padlet, on social media. So the student will receive the postcard, will analyze, and then they're gonna work on comprehension de l'oral, or comprehension listening. They will work on their listening. So for me, this kind of activity is such a very interesting one, because the students can express themselves. Okay, we're not limiting we're not cannot limit the topic. So let them student reflect themselves and go to us. So means that they are voluntarily voluntarily ready to write and to speak. And then I like some achievements. I'm not like Madam, maybe like I'm very proud of my students. Always be proud of them. Okay, because last year my former student from Sekolah Tak Berazak, he has achieved like second place in Delft B1 in 2021, and the second one is top 10 Delft A2 2021. So I'm very proud of him, because now unfortunately now he's continuing, like he's pursuing his studies in Germany, like a German program. So now he's learning German, such a ways. And then I also have students pursuing their studies in France, in engineering, in business. I think same goes to Madam Amadila as well. So we have like we were like them before, and now they are continuing our legacy. So in conclusion, for me, okay, we are, as a teacher, we are a facilitator. Okay, always students oriented, and then have confidence in our students, and do not over expect our students. Okay, and last but not least, I would like to share with you all a quote from Carl Rogers, like the how is it the therapist and psychologist from America. Okay, because I love his quote. Découvre lui-même et qu'il s'approprie. So in English, the only learning which significantly influences behavior is self-discovered, self-appropriated learning. So that's all from me. C'est tout de moi. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. Et je vous souhaite une très bonne journée. Au revoir. À bientôt.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Amin, pour une belle présentation. Okay, to sum up what Mr. Amin have presented to us just now, is that using ICT is important, especially nowadays that we are emphasizing for the 21st century learning. And what interests me the most is your experience, starting a new language, a new foreign language in the school, because it resonates with me very well. Because the place where I was posted before, I need to start, teaching French there. So it was a very difficult endeavor, but we work through it. All right, so yeah. And lastly, I like the last one, collaborate. Okay, we need to collaborate with our partners. Okay, we do not limit ourselves. We are not working alone here. Okay, we need to have partnerships with other schools, with the embassy, like you mentioned just now. And with that in mind, I would like to in a way promote, okay, our website. Okay, IPGKBA has a collaborate website where we collaborate with all our collaborators, okay, be it the embassy, schools, and all our partners. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Amin, for the presentation just now. Okay, so now we have arrived to our Q&A session. Okay, I would like to invite our viewers, okay, to ask questions, okay, to our panelists. If you have any questions for them, okay, please mention your name, where you are from, and your question, and to whom you are addressing the question. Okay, okay, wait for a while. Maybe our viewers are thinking about the questions. I mean, if there is no questions, then our panelists did a very good job, explaining all of the contents. So wait for a while. Okay, I was told that we have one question. Okay, a question from Mr. Muhammad Azhar bin Abdul Wahab from my campus, IPGKBA. Okay, what are the similarities of the French language learning, okay, with our language Bahasa Melayu? To whom is this question addressed, or is this question is free for the panels to? Okay, either one of you can respond to the question. What are the similarities between French and our bahasa ibunda bahasa Melayu?
Madame Armadila, on vous écoute.
D'accord, Monsieur Amin. So, grammatically wise, we don't have that much of similarity between Malay language and French language, but it's actually the practice. If you don't practice a language, then you won't get better in that particular language. So if I'm about to compare the grammar, how to say, grammatical points of both Malay and French, we cannot see much of similarity. But then, yeah, learning a language is to practice the language, to use it in our daily conversation, for example, to get better. Right. Monsieur Amin, do you have anything to add? Maybe.
Just maybe like I think all the languages in the world have four skills, like four fundamental skills, which are listening, writing, comprehension, and also comprehension writing. So basically, the similarities, I think, whichever language that you teach, you still have to practice these skills. You cannot like only teach grammar, like only vocabulary. So you have to widen your teaching approaches by implementing these four skills in your class. Okay, I think that's all.
All right. Thank you, both of our panelists. So, do we have any other questions? Eh,
I think we will have on chat, Mr. Amaru Arifin.
Yeah. I'm waiting because it doesn't appear on my. Okay, no. Okay, now I see it. Okay, salam to both presenters from Madam Rasmuna here. Okay, I would like to know, when conducting your lesson to beginners, especially Form 1 students, do you proceed with the target language most of the time or mix of English and Bahasa? Okay, perhaps we can start with Monsieur Amin first.
Okay. Merci. Thanks a lot for the question, Madame Rasmona. C'est très gentil de vous. Bonjour. Okay. Based on my experience, like 6 years of experience, what I've doing, it depends on the period of the class. For example, if the very first class, even it is the very first class, I always love to share with them the beauty of French language. Like, I'm not saying like 100% in French, but at least like 50% of class. For example, the simple expressions, and try to make them familiar with the expressions. So, but then after that, of course, I'm gonna mix, like English and Bahasa Melayu in my French class. But I would say, as a foreign language teacher, we have to try our best to show them the beauty of our target language in class. Okay, by saying it like slowly and by full articulation, so that the students will get attracted, okay, to our language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amin. Madam Amadila, do you have anything to add on?
Yes, I guess. As for me, during the first class, I would actually use a little bit of English and Bahasa just to make them feel comfortable, and then I always start with alphabets, because our alphabets is not that different from English, so that they would feel safe. You would feel safer to continue to learn the French language, and I would also introduce the words that they already know in Bahasa or in English, which is very related to the French language. For example, in English, we do say rendezvous, right? So rendezvous is a French word. So I just want them to know that all these are connected. They already have something in their head, and I'm here to make it complete, to complete it. Yeah. So yes, I'm using the mix of English and PM in my early teachings of French.
Okay, thank you, Madam Amadila. Okay, I one more question before we end the session. Okay. Uh, how have you tried mediation skill to your A2 or B1 class? Anyone want to respond to that? Mr. Amin or Madam Amandila?
Maybe Madam Amila starts first because I think she has a lot of B1 candidates in her
Okay.
school.
Okay.
Actually, I don't have any B1 candidates yet in my school, but I do have A2 candidates. So I'm not very familiar with the mediator skills. But I'm looking into it now. So the mediator skills are the abilities that individuals use to work with different people or resolve conflicts. The skills help mediators work under different circumstances to facilitate discussion to ensure the conflicting parties can reach an agreement. Is it like a debate or something? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm not familiar with the mediation skill. Mr. Amin,
I
do you have any idea?
Um, maybe it's mediation. Okay, maybe I'm trying my best to answer the question from Honoras Mona. So actually, for my A2 and B1 student, because only in my previous school, I only had like one B1 candidate, like B1 class. So because we can't like have a B1 class because they stop at Form 4, so Form 5 like no French class in my previous school. So what I've for mediation, I think it's like we correct students and then we gonna collaborate. Is it? I think something like that. So not really. I'm not. I haven't tried this skill to my A2 and B1 class.
Okay, thank
Maybe
you,
next
Miss.
time in the future.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Amin, for the response. I think that's about it for the questions. So we have come to the end of our session today. So before we end our session, maybe I would like to invite Mr. Amin to wrap up. Okay, what are the key takeaways for our session today? And
So
a personal request. Just add in a few, just throw in a few French sentences at the end.
oh, okay. So I'm thinking I'm not the only one. Madam Amadila will continue after me. Okay, okay, Madam.
Okay, sure, no
Ça
problem.
marche? Okay, so for me, like to wrap up this session, firstly, of course, I'm so glad to have this opportunity with all the teachers around the world, like even in Malaysia, about my practices. Like I said just now, my practices are not the best, but I'm trying my best to share with you all. Okay, so there's no like there are no perfect teachers, there are no perfect students. So but we have is that we have the how's the rooms to improve. So always improve yourself and keep up keep up the good work. Always appreciate yourself and your students. Uh, in French, on vous souhaite un très bon courage pour tous les professeurs de français langue étrangère en Malaisie. J'espère que la langue française en Malaisie, l'enseignement de la langue française en Malaisie s'améliorera. Inch'Allah, et merci beaucoup. À bientôt.
Inshallah. Okay, Madam Amadila, perhaps anything to add on?
Okay, as a conclusion to what we presented today, all we wanted to say is that all it takes is for us to make our efforts to learn something new and to look outside of the box. Like I said in my presentation, one size doesn't fit all. And over the years, our understanding of language education has evolved. And being a teacher is a continual learning journey. There are always new things to discover and put into practice in the classroom situation. So never stop just at one stop. I know it's hard and sometimes we feel like giving up when things don't go our way, but the kids need us. Just keep that in mind. So keep going on. Alors, c'est une très belle occasion de partager. Alors, vraiment, merci beaucoup IPGKBA for this, for organizing this. Thank you so much. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, both of our panelists. So before we end, okay, I would like to remind all of our spectators, all of the viewers out there, okay, to register yourself, okay, so that you can for those who are with KPM, you can earn some credits, okay, and do not forget to like our official Comat Facebook. All right. So with that in mind, okay, thank you to all our speakers, okay, for spending their time with us today on this platform. And thank you all for attending. We would like to also thank the Educational Technology Division, MOE, for the platform and our lovely rapporteurs. Okay, with that, thank you. Do not forget for our next session next week. Bye bye.